What is up, everyone? It's your boy J-Semp, and we are back here with another sketchbook tour. So today I was looking through and I knew I wanted to do a sketchbook tour and I wasn't sure which one to choose. And if you've seen my other sketchbook tours, or my previous one, you know that I have a bunch of sketchbooks. And so now that it's kind of the beginning of summer, I thought, why not do my sketchbook from last summer? If you guys like these sketchbook tour videos, let me know in the comments, because I have a ton of sketchbooks and I can definitely do a lot of these in the future. Also, let me know if you want to see any other videos that I haven't done yet. With that being said, let's get right into it. So let's open this up. So during this sketchbook, I was really getting into doing kind of mythical creatures and building on this idea that I had of this Mythos codex that I was creating, which was basically creating like a bestiary of different mythological creatures and kind of creating stories behind them. And this sketchbook has a lot of random sketches in it because I did use this as, really a just sketchbook. And so a lot of designs and a lot of simple sketches like these. This here is one of my favorites in the sketchbook because it was one of the cleanest portraits that I've ever done. It's not necessarily a realistic portrait, but if you've kind of watched my other videos, I've always struggled a little bit, and I think every artist can kind of relate to drawing the 3/4 angle. And in this particular one, I managed to create a nice clean look. Now for this piece, what I did was I built it up in layers. But I started off with a yellow highlighter, then I added an orange highlighter, then I added some red markers, and then some brown colored pencil to kind of finish it off. This was done with the edge of a calligraphy pen, so it's really thin, fine line work. This one so on the left side, I did an Instagram live and was kind of just drawing what everyone wanted me to draw, which was fun to do. And on the right side, I was practicing noses. And I often tell people when they ask, how do you get better at portraits? It's to literally, pick a feature on the face. For example, a nose, and literally just draw an entire page of that. And then move on and do an ear, and do an entire page of ears, and then eyes, and then lips, and so on. And that's really the only way to get better. Yeah, I was having a lot of fun with my calligraphy pen, working with the thick line work as well as the thin line work. Now this is really cool. I remember this. So the calligraphy pen has a lot of ink in it. So what I did was I drew here, and you can kind of see this face. And I knew it was going to bleed through to the other page. So then I used that and I made it into a more detailed, you can see a more detailed drawing based on what was bleeding through. And so you can kind of see it. And then this is another one that I did on Instagram Live last summer. And last summer was when really I started putting in a lot of work and a lot of time into my Instagram. You can see with a lot of these mythical creatures, I have little notes on the sides because I don't just like to draw them, I like to create a little bit of lore behind them as well. I think I was trying to create some sort of recipe. I write random stuff that sometimes doesn't have to do with art in my sketchbooks. This was some line work that I was working on. Oh, I was open to calligraphy commissions, and I just posted this on my Instagram story. Another Instagram live that I did. I always like to have people ask me anything they want because, I like to connect with my followers so they get to know me better. And this was during the same Instagram live. I was kind of just letting the people watching dictate what I was doing, and I really didn't know where I was going to go with it. And this kind of turned out a little creepy, but I like it. These next couple pages, I do a bunch of little drawings of these concepts that I have. It was a concept of drawing these 4 different elements, right? And having different carriers of these elements. So this is a little thumbnail sketch. This here was supposed to be one for the wind. And I actually, on a Twitch live stream, which I did a fair amount over the summer, I don't really do it that much anymore. I'll put on the screen right now. I decided to make this into a watercolor piece. and I had a lot of fun with that, and I put in a lot of time into doing that. Protectors of the Four Medallions, that's what I called them. And that was all with the lore behind the creatures of the mythos. This was the fire protector, and this was the earth protector, and I think I didn't really get into the water one that much, but that's what the water one was kind of going to look like. Gonna have like gills on the side of the face and stuff like that. All just simple thumbnail sketches. This was a schedule for my Instagram posts. This was a little bit of a sketch that preliminary sketch that I was doing for my friend who puts out a lot of music, shout out Asante, but he didn't end up using this. But I recently did a little promo for him for his newest song, Medusa, so definitely check that out on Spotify. This is probably my favorite page because this is one of my favorite characters that I've created for the Mythos, and it was actually created on an Instagram live as well. You guys really kind of dictated the little details in it, and I was really happy with how it turned out and kind of the creature and the lore behind it. You guys even came up with the name, which I thought was really, really unique. This one I thought was really funny. This was during the time of all the hype behind, you know, the Area 51 raid. And so I wanted to kind of create this dude who has this elongated face shape, which I do a lot, but I wanted to add a little extra details, and I just really like his very simple hand gesture like this. And it just says, "Howdy humans." I thought that was funny. And this is a great example of doing a thumbnail sketch and then me immediately after wanting to do a little bit more detail. And this is officially my favorite piece in the entire book. I always do a lot of portraits, but I wanted to really work on doing something that was a little more dynamic and had kind of a full body. This is actually drawing on inspiration from a street art piece that was like a photo of it was hung up in the art room of my high school. And I really liked it because it was a really dynamic pose, and it's a very deep piece. I'll put it on the screen. It's by this artist called Harakoot. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it's a duo. They're husband and wife, I think, that paint together, and one of them's Hera and one of them's Akut. Their work is phenomenal. You should follow them on Instagram. I follow their joint account and I follow their individual accounts because they're both amazing artists. Another just detailed, weird piece. Some more ideas for the creatures that I was creating. But simple sketches. I think I did this on a Twitch live stream. Weird mythological creature. Now this is a page that I really like because a lot of the ways that I come up with my really weird looking, mystical looking creatures is by doing really, really quick sketches and taking those sometimes scribbles and trying to find things within that. I spent probably about 30 seconds on each of these little portraits. And then these portraits here, I put in a little more time to develop them. And I like this page because it really shows the progression of how I create and how I develop my ideas. And these are some more designs from the first couple pages. Here I really like this. Again, I was kind of working with developing my shadow techniques. So a lot of light back to dark. This was a weird new school style Hanyu mask scribble that I was trying to make. Not entirely sure what this is. I think I was trying to make another Hanyu mask. Some more nose practice, nothing too crazy. Some more random scribbles of sketching. It's always important to not always go in depth and do really detailed drawings. To practice your fundamentals, it's really good to do very simple, quick drawings because it tests kind of what you need to practice on and what you're really good at. And so another quicker sketch, I remember doing this on an airplane. I think the next couple ones are ones I did on an airplane. I always like to incorporate some graffiti in my pieces because, you know, I've always done graffiti and I've always really been into graffiti. Graffiti is definitely one of the purest forms of design, and that's because it's all about balance. And so I'm gonna flip this around so that you guys can see the full scope of this. I'm gonna keep on going. So I was on an airplane, sorry for this, but I was on an airplane and there was a baby crying. and a bunch of people were being annoyed because it was nonstop. I mean, babies cry, but this one was nonstop, and I just wanted to see the light in it, and so I made this little funny drawing. So yeah, and then some more simple scribbles. Another kind of creature of the mythos. You can see, and you probably saw in the other ones, I have this kind of weird writing. It doesn't actually mean anything, but over time I've kind of created different symbols, and I call it the Mythos Codex because, you know, a codex is something you have to decipher, and I've always wanted to kind of add hidden messages within my pieces. Now this doesn't mean anything, but if I were to, you know, put this into an actual book or something, in this spot, I would have some sort of hidden meaning or something. Another weird little drawing with some my code. Again, crocodile-like creature, done entirely with the red pen. Nice eye we got here. I was experimenting a lot with cross-hatching because I've always been a fan of cross-hatched work that is not black and white, but rather a solid color like red and white or green and white, because I think that's fun. This is just me trying to figure out the background and the lore behind the overall idea of the mythos and kind of creating a symbol of the mythos. And again, kind of an elongated face style. I think I was creating this character as the person who started it all. That's why I call him Genesis. Some more practice with different ways to draw faces. Again, some eye work. I think I started this one, didn't like it, and then just added a bunch of graffiti to it, which I often do when I start something and don't end up finishing it, and it kind of adds a little bit to it. Now, the next couple pieces I know are from my Instagram because I started drawing my sketches for my Instagram in this sketchbook. And so I'm gonna start putting on the screen the time lapses that I did for these pieces. And I'll put this time lapse here, doesn't have this extra red stuff that I added to it, but like I said before, I love adding graffiti to my pieces after because I think it adds an extra dimension, and I'm really happy with how I kind of quote-unquote vandalized this one. Here, I was really into eyes. Obviously, I'm still into eyes. I love drawing eyes. If you want to learn how to draw eyes, that was actually my first tutorial first video that I put on this channel, so I'll do a little title card here so you guys can click on that if you want to learn a simple way to draw more realistic eyes. This eye was one that I did of my friend, shout out Safe, because most of the stuff that I draw is without reference, so sometimes I like to draw things with reference, and so that was nice. This one of my favorites, because of the way it is. It's a little boom. The video I did for this was fun. I went out to buy a singular red balloon just to film this video. My roommate and I were really into watching, because this was right when It 2 came out, and so we watched the first It movie, and then literally like 2 days later we watched the second It movie in theaters, and so that was a lot of fun. Shout out to KJ Frey, go follow him. He does all the music for all my stuff, so that's fun. For this piece, again, eyes, but I wanted to really practice the different irises, because when I draw and I create portraits, there are so many different types of irises that I could use. This is the most common one that I use. This is probably the second most common one that I use, and this is the one that I do if it is something that's larger, and then this is the one I do if I want something to be more emotional and have the eyes look a little teary-eyed. So they all have their own little uses, and I thought it was kind of cool to put them all on one page. And ooh, that is it for the sketchbook. I am going to cut back to me and do a little bit of an outro. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I had a lot of fun looking through the sketchbook, and I hope you guys were able to grab some inspiration from it and create from it, especially in this time of quarantine. If you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe. If you want to show your support, gently tap that like button, and as always, thank you for watching.